As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Dear professional colleagues, these are undoubtedly unprecedented times. Social and economic indices are undoubtedly performing below all expectations. No nation is spared, not even the advanced nations. Global community is battling environmental, economic, technological, political, and social challenges all at the same time. Most developing economies are experiencing rising unemployment, spreading inflation, escalating and humiliating poverty, security breaches, trade wars, tensions, political instability, and deteriorating climatic changes with all their consequences. As professional accountants, we must ceaselessly support government and business leaders in charting a robust and viable future without neglecting the current needs. As we strive to prosper financially, we must do so through sustainable methods, creating value while ensuring we pay adequate attention to the climate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the focus of the ICAN's 52nd Annual Accountants Conference, the theme of which is Nigeria Adopting Sustainability for Economic Prosperity. I invite you all to join us as we learn and relearn from indigenous and international resource persons between October 10 and 14, 2022 at the Abuja International Conference Center. It surely promises to be a truly transformative experience. See you in Abuja in October. Thanks and God bless.
Good evening, professional colleagues. Good evening, friends of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Our students, we want to welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another educative and insightful session of ICAN on Air. Today, Thursday, the 22nd day of the month of September 2022. And we sincerely want to appreciate you for always hooking up with us every Tuesday and Thursday within the hours of 6 and 7 to enrich our knowledge and build more to deliver more quality delivery to our clients. And this evening, I'm coming with a topic on the impact of structured finance in the Nigerian business environment. And it is with great excitement, I'll be guesting Dr. Olushola Olowoyeye. He is a seasoned chartered accountant and a dynamic professional, a highly proficient ICAN and ACCA tutor, having taught over 10 different papers over the last 20 years, including MA, PM, tax, FM, SFM, to mention just a few. His work experience has exposed him to various financial institutions, the oil and gas industry, the consulting, an area of financial management and control, project financing and marketing, risk analysis, corporate governance, to mention just a few. He has developed corporate governance framework and enterprise risk management framework for oil and gas company and several financial institutions in the sub-Sahara Africa. He has worked with KPMG, Audit and Risk Advisory, the BGL PLC, Sahara Energy Resources Limited, to mention a few. Dr. Olushola has a PhD in management, MSc in finance, and he is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, fellow Chartered Institute of Translation, International Academic of Business and Financial Management, and acclaimed Institute of Internal Auditor USA. He's a member of the Lagos Country Club, and he's sitting on the board of several companies and has facilitated several strategic sessions across financials, manufacturing, oil and gas, arts, and entertainment industry. A co-founder of one of the Gold ALP of ACCA, the New Synergy Specialist Limited, TNSS. So we are in this evening to welcome a seasoned professional, a dynamic one, a tutor, a teacher. And let me quickly go on a very short break, knowing fully well that commercials is the heartbeat that makes this program to come on every Tuesday and every Thursday. When I'll be coming back, I will come in with our guest. I will do justice to it for today. Stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Save the date. Make it in October to remember as you register and plan to attend the 52nd ICAN Annual Accountants Conference. Date 10th to 14th October 2022. Venue ICC Abuja and Sheraton Abuja. For more inquiries, call 070-501-80222 or 090-625-47263. You can also visit the ICAN website www.icangr.org to register. Thank you.
Welcome back. Yes, and it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Olushola Olowoyeye, FCCA, FCA. Good evening and welcome to our show, ICAN on Air.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so excited to be on the show, and I look forward to a very interesting session.
Thank you very much. Let's hit the ground running on the topic, the impact of structured finance in Nigerian business environment. Let me start this way by asking you to educate our global audience who are always looking forward to this show for knowledge. Sir, what is structured finance?
Okay, thank you very much. Looking at the word structured finance is a combination of two major words. We are structuring finance. Finance is more or less like an avenue or a means, when it comes to trying to get a solution. So when you have a structured finance, you are talking about finding the needed mix of revenue sources to attract commercial lenders to be able to come together to package a form of credit, package a form of capital to be able to fund either your project or fund your business. Structured finance has to do with when you are trying to look for how you can turn your illiquid asset and you're able to use it to be able to generate cash flows, and then you're able to get funding on the back of that cash flow. So it's not the conventional way of raising funding to be able to fund projects or fund business. It's a structured way, a refined way to solve complex financial problems.
Very wonderful. A very complex way, or a very simple way of solving complex financial things. And you've said it that it's just looking for way to finance your needs with your liquid asset, converting them easily. Let me ask that: what are the key features of this structured finance, and what makes structured finance different from the unique one that we know, the unstructured finance?
Okay, thank you very much. Looking at the key features of structured finance, right from the definition that we looked at earlier, looking at repackaging your conventional way of looking at raising funds, and then you are now looking for, okay, what is the easy way to solve this complex financial problem? One of the key major features of structured finance is that it brings about the change in focus or reduction of focus on credit. The way credit, normally we look at credit, oh, I need to borrow to fund this project. So when it looks at loan, oh, I need to provide a collateral. If I don't have collateral, I cannot get the loan. But when you are looking at structured finance, they will be looking at other means, other alternative to be able to grant you the kind of funding that you want, not necessarily depending on collateral as a way. So first thing is reduction of focus on credit. So not our conventional way of looking at credit. And then it's also a way of managing the risk through the liquidity and your interest rate. Because on a conventional loan, there's a way your term of interest needs to be structured, the way coupon needs to go. But when you are doing a structured finance, it gives an opportunity for you to repackage the way you are going to be repaying back. Also, it also comes in helping you to address any form of issue that has to do with interest. The rate. You can stagger the rate. You can even get a form of like a moratorium. You can even bullet the payments. It gives you flexibility. It allows you to be able to come up with a structure that is more convenient for your business. So most big organizations tends to use more of structured finance than conventional finance in funding their transaction.
Brilliant. You've just said it that the key feature is to reduce the focus on credit and also manage the risk of liquidity and interest rate, and above all, the flexibility in handling some of those things. Let me say this, that our viewers who are connected globally, you can always prompt your questions, your contribution. Dr. Oloyeye is on ground to do justice, knowing fully well the key thing that we know. For the student, is another way for you to learn when you are preparing for that exam, the SFMs of this world, so that you can have understanding of dropping the answers in the correct way. Dr. Oloyeye, let me pick up on this again, that finance is always presumed to be from two prominent sources: the equity and debt. Can you educate our audience? What are the different equity and debt sources of finance available to business in this environment?
Okay, thank you very much. That question, is, I'll take it more like a rider to the last question. And one of the things I try to highlight in the features of structured finance shows clearly the issue around providing flexibility. And so when you are talking about ways of providing finance, looking at the conventional two options of either equity or debt. Now, let's look at it from this perspective. Debt financing refers to taking out a conventional loan through a traditional lender. You're asking your bank to give you a facility, that's a debt. You're trying to structure something that can help you to just meet your immediate obligation. However, when it comes to equity, equity means you are asking or inviting somebody to take part of ownership of your business. So it's two different directions that you are going. If you choose to go either equity way, it comes with its implications, its benefit and limitations. So also if you go with debt, debt also comes with its own features. But for most businesses who are very sure of their cash flow, who can easily predict the kind of returns that they are able to generate, it's easier for them to go ahead and take on the option of debt in financing their business. When it comes to you taking a long-term risk, the risk of uncertainty, not being too sure of what could happen and what could happen, some tends to take the option of equity. But eventually, when you look at the nature of the project or the kind of operations that you want to fund, it will go a long way to determine the mix of the kind of capital that you want to raise to be able to fund your business.
That is very, very educative enough by telling us that it's actually the nature of the project or the particular thing you want to do that determines whether it's going to go on the part of equity or debt management, knowing the advantages and disadvantages. Dr. Olowoyeye, apart from equity and debt classification, I've heard severally people classifying finance in short term and long term. Can you educate our audience on what constitutes the short term, the long term finance?
Okay, thank you very much. There are quite a lot of school of thoughts to the idea about short-term to long-term finance. And just like we highlighted earlier, looking at debt finance and looking at equity finance. Now, when you talk about short-term finance, those are finances that you make use of them within a period of a year. That's according to a particular school of thought. And any finance that is above a period of 1 year becomes a long-term type of finance. However, some school of thought also look at it from the perspective of saying any funding that you are utilizing within a period of 1 to 5 years is still short-term, that anything above 5 years become a long-term finance. But let's look at example. You need a term loan to be able to fund a credit, to fund a transaction just for a period of 6 months, 180 days or 365 days. That is definitely a short-term finance. You can raise a short-term credit. You can take an overdraft. You can use, commercial paper. You can use, any, little letter of credit or a guarantee to be able to take care of your short-term financing need. But when you want to go on a long-term finance, you might have to take on issuing out a bond, which could be 5, 10, 15 years, depending on the nature of the project that you intend to use the funding for. And otherwise, you just take equity, which is more long-term focus in nature.
Well, based on that explanation that you have given, Dr. Olowoyeye, and your experience in the industry, which of these sources of finance, that is debt, equity, short, long time, do you consider to be best for a business to achieve his or her objective?
Okay, thank you very much. One of the things I mentioned earlier also has to do with the way your business is designed, the model. that you are trying to use to run your business. What are you trying to do? What is your long-term objective? What is the strategic objective of your business? Now, have you structured your business and you want to go into more of capital project? Then you'll be looking at long-term funding to fund your capital project, while you are looking at short-term funding to fund your operational, more or less your working capital, things you will need for day-to-day running of the activities of the business could be more of a short-term driven. However, you would tend to say, oh, let me use a debt because this project is a short-term project. But if it's a long-term project, let me raise a proper equity to be able to stay long on this project. So I'll come back to say that essentially the type of capital a company will select would depend on the need of the business. Long-term capital will be best suited for you if you are dealing with external or strategic investment, as well as, when you look at, okay, we are in this for a long time, for a sustainable way. So we needed to take a long-term funding to be able to fund this project, as against using a short-term fund that can easily cut you out, and then you're unable to achieve the overall objective of the business.
That is well explained on your part, talking about considering your capex, your opex, and you put into consideration the model of your business, the need of the business, and the strategy that you are adopting. Dr. Oluwoyeye, as an expert, if you are to x-ray the Nigerian general business environment, what would be your own advice, or the one you feel that Nigerian actually require? Is it a structured finance, unstructured finance, or a mix of both?
Okay, thank you very much. Considering our business environment, the needs of different businesses vary, and the needs of different sector of the economy also vary, depending on what stage of your business, what kind of project are you currently engaging on. So I would rather say that it's an hybrid of depending on the needs that will really influence whether you are going in to raise either equity to fund your project, or you are raising debt to fund your project. And that's why one of the major ways that Nigerian economy and business environment can really be impacted is to start considering the option of structured finance as against this conventional funding, which is either plain equity vanilla or plain debt structure. So we needed to start looking at how we can have a bit of some convertible, the use of securities, and use of other assets in a way. Let's start looking at being able to use the cash flow of the business as a basis to lend, and as against just waiting for the traditional bank loan credit, where you have to provide a huge form of an asset before you can raise funding. And this will really help a lot of SMEs in Nigeria. And, because most of them don't usually have an asset to start with when they are to commence business. And so if we don't get to start believing in their cash flow and start being able to analyze, looking at other qualitative factors that can make the business to be more sustainable, and reasons why funding or investors should come in and put in money into their business, we are not going to be able to move so far. So it's important that we start considering all these other features for us to really make a great impact.
Yeah, let me once again reiterate that our audience who are connected to us globally are free to bring in their question, knowing the place of finance in every business and definitely the environment that we operate from. So on this note, I continue with you, Dr. Oluwoyeye. Because we are discussing structured finance as a unique concept and a model here, will it be right to say that we have structured investment, structured project, structured funding, and structured product? Can we make that comparison?
Okay, I would like to I would like to use the word these are all forms of varieties of structured finance. I won't want us to just say straight-jacketed or put it in a way that the way you have put it to say that do we have this, do we have this. Now, because all these elements you have mentioned are elements of structured finance. Now, you can structured finance for a project, you can structured finance for a real estate, you can structured finance for a market transaction, you can structured finance for oil and gas, you can structured finance for telecommunication, you know, so you could call it a structured project, you could call it a structured funding, and there are some investments that are structured in a manner that has both element of equity and debt. So even in terms of investment you make, you can make an investment expecting to earn some form of return in terms of interest and some form of return in form of dividend. So it's a structured product. So it will not be, they're all, more or less like acronyms that are used within the world of structured finance. And we know the idea about structured finance is really to create a more flexible way to solve complex financial problem.
And that's a very wonderful way to put it there. But let me say this: I'm still expecting the question of our viewers. We all understand the importance of financing, and I think we can take up our guest, Dr. Olowoyeye, as he speaks on this. Let me take this, that based on your local and global knowledge of finance, what can you say about the Nigerian Current Finance Act and its general impact on the Nigerian business environment?
Okay, thank you. Looking at the Finance Act, this is a very positive move. And I think in the last 2 to 3 years now, we've been a bit consistent with it. And it's a good positive thing to the business environment, which is having great impact on, a lot of our regulations in terms of finance. The Finance Act has helped us to be able to structure the tax, environment. And, with this COVID, we saw a great impact of the Finance Act. The Finance Act was able to react very quickly to issues that a whole lot of businesses were facing with COVID impact. And so the economy with the recession, where the Finance Act has helped us to be able to respond much more faster because those changes that needs to be made, those concessions that needs to be given to businesses to be able to survive, the Finance Act was able to address most of those things. Beyond just affecting the businesses, even individuals, in terms of their personal income tax, there has been quite a lot of reflection in terms of the policy that are made and in terms of the pronouncement that comes out clearly from the Finance Act. So it's a positive impact on the Nigerian business environment.
Positive impact on the Nigerian business environment, and that is a good accolade to the government bringing this after several years. Like we heard from one of our guests, that it's been lingering. We've been able to do justice to this. But we've just discussed about the Finance Act. Let me ask, how will you assess the Nigerians' financial policy and regulations in relation to the foreign direct investment? Will you say it's satisfactory, unsatisfactory, or you give it 50-50%?
Okay, I would like to put it this way. It is satisfactory. And there are quite a lot of reasons why I would say it is satisfactory. A whole lot of people might not want to agree with that fact, and a whole lot of Nigerians might want to look at it from different perspectives. Apart from the security issues, our financial environment is actually quite very attractive in a way that, you can actually come into Nigeria and kick off and start a new business. And your business, the potentials are there for the businesses to be able to work to grow. the population to drive even your businesses are also what available. So in terms of foreign direct investment directly, the policies are actually satisfactory. There's not so much inhibition with tax. There's not so much inhibition in terms of the way you will run the business. The regulations are not too stiff. They are quite actually very accommodative. However, we might have security challenges. You might not be able to have as much, kind of funding structure that you might want to have. But that's the whole essence of foreign direct investment. Bring in your own foreign funds and come and make businesses work in Nigeria. And then do as much as possible to also retain those fund generated in Nigeria for infrastructure growth and also to develop the people as against repatriating all the funds back out of Nigeria. And you've seen quite a lot of companies stay back and enjoy the business environment in Nigeria so far.
That is a great one. Looking at the aspect that the policy, financial policy and regulation has actually been satisfactory, taking out the insecurity. Our policy has not been very rigid. It's been very flexible. It's been able to accommodate the foreign direct investment and create more of those things that is needed to grow our business. But Sonia Oladimeji is asking this question, connecting to us live, to ask that how do you determine the optimal mix of fund if you want to take equity and debt?
Thank you very much. That is a very, very interesting question. Getting the optimal mix of the capital structure for your business, I'm sure if we refer back to some of the theories and then looking at it in the real terms, in the real world terms, I'm sure some of you will remember very clearly Modigliani and Melton H. Miller, who suggested that an organization can go as far as taking as much of 99.9% debt in running its business. And then it shows that you definitely have a confidence that, no, this business can work and can generate sufficient cash flow to be able to pay back, whatever obligations that the organization take. And also, if we remember the pecking order theory that clearly says the hierarchy in which you should fund your business. And if you look at that ranking, equity comes, last, while retained profit comes at the beginning. Now, how do we determine the optimal mix? Now, looking at your business, like I mentioned earlier, you have more of strategic projects, you have more of long-term projects, you have projects that you want even other people to participate in, not only a project that is just your own personal goal alone, it's something that you want to outlive you, then you should be looking at more of an equity funding structure to be able to achieve that, because it's a long-term project. It's a project that you don't want to just own it alone. You want a project to be owned by almost everybody. You want everybody to be able to have their own stake in it. So you'll be looking at equity. But if you also look at the role debt plays in the funding of your business, how much of your cash flows are consistent? Are you sure you are able to service your interest as they fall due? Are you sure you are able to meet up your obligations as they fall due? So it means that you need to look for the best mix by looking for an optimal way. Looking at your business strategy, your business model, the kind of project you have set, ahead for your organization to achieve, and then look for the best mix. Because if more of it are long-term in nature, then you need to structure more of an equity funding structure to be able to achieve this. And for some project that can pay out itself in a 5, 10, 15 years, you can structure a corporate bond around it just to be able to achieve that objective, and then you move on with it. But it could be the objective of the business from get-go that we want all stakeholders to, we want as many number of people to take ownership in this project, and that could influence how well you want to use equity to form such a structure.
That is nice, and I want to believe that Tony has actually tapped to know the optimal mix, considering the model of the business and the objective of the organization itself. Nahal or Oga is asking what is structural problem in Nigeria and how to deal with financial inclusion, including government. Do you have understanding of the question?
Now, to a reasonable extent, from my understanding of the question of what is the structural, problem in Nigeria, if you look at the way our financial system and our financial service is currently being structured, I think almost everything about finance in this country today, majority of the public just understand banking. When you say finance, they say banking. They see finance as banking. But I'm sure from 2006, when we have a more structured pension scheme arrangement, you see how powerful the pension arm of the financial sector or the financial service sector of the Nigerian industry can be. So the more we get most of the financial services more structured, the more results we are going to get. We've seen pension industry being structured, and then we've seen the kind of contribution that we've been able to harness from pension scheme contribution. If any major instrument is going to come out in Nigeria today, the pension companies have to participate because they have large pool of funds. Same way, banks, you've seen how our banks are posting balance sheet size of 11 trillion in assets, 9 trillion in assets. That's the kind of asset that are sitting within the banking industry. Now, look at how well our structure is our insurance sector. How well are we structured the insurance sector for it to also take its rightful position within the financial system in Nigeria? If you look at every other part of the world, insurance company owns banks. Nigeria is an exception, whereby it's the banks that owns insurance companies. If you look at what is going on in US, in Europe, even in South Africa, you get to see insurance company with life investment, life funds, pool of funds on the insurance end, and they are so big enough to be able to acquire banks. Look at how well are we structured in terms of real estate. How well are we structuring the real estate investment? How well are we able to even coordinate the kind of cash flow that is around our transport system? Do we have a statistics, the data that shows the kind of money that exchange hands on transportation across Nigeria? There's a data just being shared, I think, on social media that the Nigerian Railway spends average of about 4 million naira or generates a revenue within a particular range, and you look at how much is spent on diesel and how much is left as as a margin on a daily basis. So you can imagine somebody who have been running a road transport for a long period of time, the kind of things that are going on the transportation, on ferry. If we coordinate this sector in a proper way, there are quite a lot of cash flows that are hiding around most of these different sectors within the Nigerian economy. And that's why the informal sector in our economy is still very, very huge. It's still very large, not yet tapped, not yet well managed in such a way that by the time we structure most of this informal sector, you will see that the GDP will even change and we'll be able to capture more.
Yeah, when you talk about having understanding of the cash flow to manage it properly and harnessing the informal sector, it will be a plus even to our GDP. I've actually been guesting Dr. Olushola Olowoyeye, who has been doing justice to the impact of structured finance in the Nigerian business environment. Like I've been saying in every episode, it is always an opportunity to, advertise your product on this globally accepted and widely viewed program, ICAN on Air, every Tuesday and every Thursday. And you definitely see the acceptability and the growth that the business will leave. On this note, I'll be going on a very short break to have a commercial. And when I return, we will be rounding up the program for today with Dr. Olushola Olowoyeye. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Welcome back to all our guests who are connected globally. I've seen people from the north, from the south, from the east, from the western part here. People connected from the diaspora. You are all welcome. And I've been guesting Dr. Olushola Olowoyeye, who has been discussing with us the impact of structured finance in Nigeria business environment. Dr. Olowoyeye, you're welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, while we proceed on our question, I saw a question from Isiaka Kehinde. He's saying, can structured financing achieve in long term or short term in Nigeria economy?
Okay, thank you very much. That's also a very interesting question. And structured finance is really the kind of finance we need to be able to build this kind of an economy we find ourselves. Using the plain or conventional strictly equity and credit loans will not solve most of our problems. As you have seen that we are facing a lot of complex issues, we also need to structure our finance to solve this complex problem. So in the long term, for us to be able to achieve greater mileage as an economy, we need to tend towards using more structured finance to be able to address most of the financial needs of most businesses in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. And I have also Tayo, who is asking this question that is there a difference between loan syndication and structured financing? Also, can an audacious startup brave any of these funding sources?
Okay, thank you very much, Tayo, for that question. And the example you just gave is one of the typical example of a structured finance, is syndication. If you look at the first definition I gave to structured finance, you are trying to put your cash flows together in such a way that commercial lenders can all come together to assist you to be able to solve the problem. You can imagine Nigeria, Lagos State or even the federal government trying to fund the Fourth Mainland Bridge. Do you think a single entity will be able to go ahead and fund such a project? This is a project that will require a lot of syndication, and it will require quite a lot of structuring, knowing fully well with the kind of experience we've had with toll system, trying to bring back toll in Nigeria, and then looking at our current financial situation. Are we going to be, is federal government able to afford to fund such a big project without having to look for a structured finance to be able to achieve this objective? So I will say that structured finance, one of the example is a syndicated loan. It's a way of structured work finance.
That is great. And Akonde Tolulope is asking that what is the advantage of edge of structured finance over unstructured? Or what is unique about this?
Okay, thank you very much. Is one of the things I highlighted earlier. It brings about flexibility. It reduces the focus from the traditional credit, and it also enables you to manage your liquidity better. In overall, it provides you that avenue to have flexibility in the way you structure your finance. You've heard about something called pay as you go. It's like you structuring your finance in the way your business model or in the way your project is going to move. So something that creates that room for dynamic way to be able to manage things.
Flexibility, and when you're looking at dynamism in what you're doing. I just want to ask Dr. Lowo Yeye, before I come to pick a question from Adebola. As professional accountants, we know that we play majorly with finance. I want to ask that, are there special skills, knowledge, or tools that are required by a professional in order to thrive well and positively contribute in deepening the positive impact of structured finance in Nigerian business environment?
Thank you very much. This very question is something that every finance professional needs to take very critical. It's a question that has to do with special skills that we need to, enhance ourselves with and be able to prepare ourselves for the future. And so, if you are looking at skills that will be required for professionals to remain relevant and for us to be able to use structured finance to impact the business environment, one of the key skills I want us to take note is our analytical skill. We need to up our game on analytical skill. Two is we need to be interested in data analytics. Data analytics knowledge, being able to compare statistics and not just generalizing, conversations like, many Nigerians would like to do. When you look at what the general statement out there is that, oh, Nigeria is in mess, Nigeria is in deep shit, there's this, there's that. Let's back some of those things with statistics. Let's back it up with data so that we can really make a positive contribution as against just looking at things just on the negative side. We need to change the narratives, and it starts, with us. You need to also up your critical thinking skill. Your critical thinking skill, ability to want to do things differently, ability to be able to ask the question, to have an inquiry mind in wanting to know why it is going in this direction. If inflation rate in Nigeria is eating the roof, are we the only one facing the crisis? What is happening to the neighboring environment? How have they been able to respond? And what are we doing constructively to be able to respond to this? So don't just continue to generalize things. We need to also have problem-solving skill. We need to start looking at being more solution-oriented as against just attacking with problems alone. Another major key skill for us to really be able to create a lot of impact on this structured finance thing in Nigeria is communication skill. How well are we able to understand using the right tone, the right language, our composure, and the way we tend to engage in a conversation? We need to have the right communication skill to be able to achieve this. And basically, we need to be able to use our Microsoft Office tool well in such a way to make presentations that allows us to be able to differentiate between what the conventional are and what this structured finance could do, and be able to use it to be able to convince our audience easily.
That is very key. Talking about some skills that are needed: analytical skill, be able to mine data, critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication skills, and above all, have understanding of the Microsoft Office tool in making presentations to convince our client. Dr. Lowo Yeye, we are actually feeling it. And I want to join my voice with Dr. Lanrewaju. who is appreciating you for a very wonderful presentation. And he is asking, choosing between equity finance and debt finance, cost is one of the critical criteria. He's asking, of the two, which is cheaper?
Okay. Dr. Olanrewaju, thank you for that question. And being in finance for a very long period of time, we are always faced with that decision at some point, weighing the cost of equity compared with the cost of debt. But definitely, in the long run, we all know equity is more expensive than debt. Debt is a cheaper means of funding a business, and there's this saying also that says it is good to do business with other people's money than your own money. How do you count the cost of your money? Really, is so expensive because the benefit and the return you continue to pay from the company perspective is continuous and it's forever. As long as somebody remains as an equity holder in that business, you continue to pay that person for a long period of time. And that's why it is usually best to use an hybrid to be able to average your cost as much as possible. And the more depth you introduce into your capital structure, your weighted average cost will come down as much as possible. But if you leave your business to be funded fully by equity, your work will be equal to your to your cost of equity. So introduce some level of debt to bring down the overall cost as much as possible.
That is a very good insight into that question by Dr. Olanrewaju of how we have to weight the cost. Let me state again, appreciating our viewers, and time will not always permit us to do justice to this session, but I want to believe that our professional colleagues, students have actually benefited a lot from this session. In closing, Dr. Olowoyeye, let me ask this question. As you know, ICAN as an institute, that is the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, is always open to ideas that will positively advance the growth of our members, the accounting profession, and the Nigerian business environment. Can you share with us general advice or suggestion that you have for the Institute and our members regarding the impact of structured finance in Nigerian business environment?
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to use this opportunity to really commend the Institute with this kind of an initiative. I believe strongly that this is an initiative that we all as members needs to continue to collaborate as much as possible to promote. So this initiative, ICAN on Air, is the type of an initiative that can help us to be able to do more. And so I will say to the Institute, we need more of this initiative around policy making. We need to be more involved. We need to create more avenues for knowledge sharing and participation as much as possible. One of the key focus of what will help us to be able to build more greater impact is more inclusiveness and response to current realities. As against being reactive, I need us as an institute to be able to be more proactive in responding to things and thinking ahead, preparing all our members for the future ahead. Thinking about the finance profession, looking at it beyond just being an accountant, but being a finance work professional that the world needs.
Technical glitch there on the part of our guest, but definitely we are winding up.
I hope you can still hear me.
Very well, sir. Very well. Go ahead, sir.
I think my anchor.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead, Dr. Shola.
Okay, I think the anchor is having some network challenges.
Dr. Shola, can you hear me now? Okay, there seems to be a technical glitch between us, but definitely we are winding up, and I want to sincerely appreciate our guest today, Dr. Olushola Olowoyeye, FCA, who has done justice to the topic of the impact of structured finance in the Nigerian business environment, and to all our guests who are connected globally from the diaspora, from the north. I've seen people from Gombe, Bauchi, Makodi, from Jos, to the eastern part, and Nogo. Same from the south, connected to learn and increase the knowledge base of every individual as professional to give quality delivery of service even to our client. And on this note, I'll quickly want to share few announcements to us. And I'll start with the advert that you've been saying. It's regarding the 52nd Annual Accountant Conference. If I am not mistaken, we have 18 more days to go. How prepared are you? How prepared are you? I guess you have registered. Please be part of the 52nd Annual Accountant Conference coming up between 10th and 14th of the month of October 2022 at the International Conference Center, Abuja, and Sheraton Hotels in Abuja. The topic of discussion is Nigeria adopting sustainability for economic prosperity. Sincerely speaking, the 58th president of our great institute will definitely be waiting to host each and every one of us. Welcome you to an interactive session. You saw at the beginning of it some of the speakers that we have prepared, not just the speakers alone, enriching topic that will educate you as a member. And above all, it's an avenue for networking and an atmosphere to have fun, relax your mind, your nerves, and enjoy scintillating music. Also, we use the opportunity to invite you to the World Congress of Accountants that will be coming up November 18th to 21st at Geo World Convention Center at India. You can definitely log on to our website and you'll get every details that is required for the World Congress of Accountants. You know the role that ICAN play in the IFAC body. So we encourage our members to be part of this. It's another avenue for networking too. And we want to state here that the ICAN pathway is still running as approved by our council. Let's tap into this and encourage our students to be part of the actual program. One thing I want to share before we part is that don't miss any episode of this ICAN on air. And peradventure you miss, you can always connect on all our social media to have a rewatch of what we are doing. I remain your host till we hook up again next week, Tuesday. Remain safe. My name is Olusegun Okwade, FCA. Till next week, Tuesday, stay tuned and stay connected always.